Campaign 3, Session 22, Someplace Calmer. More than 2 weeks had passed since the adventurers returned from the gala in Javal. Life at Leotep Estate had finally begun to settle into something resembling normalcy. The newly renovated estate had become the center of activity for the group, and Jean-Claire reported that the vagrants who had once occupied the surrounding area had been cleared away. A small collection of homes had begun forming just outside the estate gates, yet beneath this appearance of stability, problems remained. The town had accumulated a tremendous debt to the Codell family, creating an increasingly serious financial burden. At the same time, Leotep Estate had taken on an even greater importance with the arrival of Prince Sanders, heir to the Jevel crown, who was now residing there. For a while, the estate seemed to offer exactly what everyone needed: somewhere calmer. That sense of peace ended one evening in the dining hall. Rendervire gathered with the adventurers: Alejandro, Anju, Aurelion, Ozar, Didora, Tarami, Tamisa, and Picklejuice. What began as an ordinary meeting quickly became one of the most devastating revelations the group had faced. Rendervire confessed that he had been compelled to serve the serpent cult. The revelation shocked everyone. Rendervire was not simply choosing to join the cult. Something had taken hold of him and was driving him toward its service. The group immediately began discussing how they could prevent him from carrying out whatever the serpent cult intended. Timisa attempted to place Rendervire under a sleep spell, hoping that incapacitating him would give them time to figure out what was happening. But the spell had no effect. That failure confirmed that Rendervire was not dealing with an ordinary enchantment. The adventurers soon realized that Rendervire's objective could potentially involve the Union of Ash. If he was trying to obtain the keys to the Serpent Cult's vault, one possible step would be an assault against the Union of Ash and Danon. Anju and Temisa agreed that they could not simply wait for Rendervire to make his move. Half of the group boarded the Lapis Dart and set out for Rainhall, intending to warn Danon and the Union of Ash. Among those aboard was Valentine, who had been resting in one of the ship's luxury cabins. The Lapis Dart reached Rainhall and the Union of Ash well before Rendervire. While the group gathered in a private study hall to discuss how Rendervire could be stopped, they encountered something none of them expected. For the first time, they met an otherworldly being who introduced himself as Ilrilchin. His very presence disturbed everyone who witnessed him. There was something profoundly wrong about the creature's spirit, something that went beyond the ordinary dangers the adventurers had encountered. Ilrilchin departed before Danon could see him. Aurelion was particularly disturbed by the encounter. The vile spiritual presence caused him to tremble, and later he removed himself from the chamber and went to meet Valentine, as Valentine was preparing to leave town. Meanwhile, Rendervire's revelation had struck Tarami harder than almost anyone else. Devastated by the news, Tarami gathered her belongings, took her child and her mother, and left without telling the others where she intended to go. Elsewhere, Rendervire continued toward Rainhall with Picklejuice. Ozar joined them on the journey. During the trip, they discussed Rendervire's obsession with serving the Serpent Cult. Ozar and Picklejuice agreed that whatever Rendervire was being compelled to do, they would try to keep him safe. Near Rainhall, they encountered Valentine. He was exhausted, having raced out of town in an attempt to catch up with his former teacher, Rendervire. Valentine told them what he knew. From his perspective, the entire situation surrounding Rendervire was not simply a matter of magical compulsion. Valentine believed there was a conspiracy at work. At the Union of Ash, Anju and the other adventurers warned Danon that Rendervire was coming. Danon offered them a possible solution. If they could prevent Rendervire from accomplishing his objective until morning, Danon believed he could remove the obsession from Rendervire's mind. That gave the group a narrow window of opportunity. Valentine then revealed something remarkable to his companions. He possessed the ability to make them invisible. Ozar immediately recognized the significance of this power and questioned Valentine. "So you are the one who summons a dragon?" The revelation became an important piece of the unfolding mystery surrounding Valentine. With invisibility at their disposal, Valentine helped Rendervire, Picklejuice, and Ozar infiltrate the Union of Ash. They managed to enter the facility unseen and eventually located the scholar Wydell. Rendervire took Wydell hostage and forced him to lead them toward Dannon. But the opposing group was not helpless. Tamisa had the ability to see invisible creatures. As Rendervire's party moved through the Union of Ash, she detected them and pointed out their positions to Anju, Alejandro, and Dodora. The confrontation began. Alejandro attempted to reason with Rendervire rather than immediately resorting to violence. He argued that nobody needed to get hurt. Dannon could remove the darkness and obsession from Rendervire's mind in the morning, provided they could simply hold him off until then. But Wydell remained Rendervire's hostage. Tamisa continued using her ability to track the invisible members of Rendervire's group, giving her companions a constant awareness of where their opponents were. Then, Tamisa made a desperate offer. She pleaded with Rendervire to release Wydell and offered herself as his hostage instead. For a moment, the situation seemed to turn towards sacrifice and negotiation. Then applause echoed through the chamber. Ilril Chine had returned. The otherworldly creature stepped into the chamber, appearing in the form of a man, wearing a devilish smile. I so love it when humans sacrifice themselves. His arrival transformed the confrontation completely. Aurelian immediately understood what needed to happen. He charged forward. In the name of Adin. Aurelian entered the fight with everything he had, leaving no ambiguity about his intentions. The others followed. Everyone present turned their attention toward Ilril Chine, and the struggle became a battle against the sinister entity. The confrontation culminated in a massive blast that finally vanquished Ilril Chine. But even as the creature was defeated, Ilril Chine made his promise clear. He would return. Then morning came. The sun rose slowly over Rhinehall, almost as though the arrival of a new day could push the horrors of the previous night into the distant past. Dannon kept his word. With the coming of morning, he lifted the darkness and obsession from Rendervire's mind, freeing him from the Serpent Cult's immediate hold. The crisis had ended, but the consequences remained. Wydell, shaken by everything that had occurred, packed his belongings and left Rainhall that morning. Rendervire was free of the obsession. Ilril Chine had been defeated but promised to return. Tarami had disappeared with her family, and the adventurers were left to confront the reality that their supposedly calmer life at Leotep Estate had been interrupted by forces connected to the Serpent Cult, the Union of Ash, and something far more sinister than any of them had anticipated. Thus, Someplace Calmer became a session defined by a cruel irony. The heroes had returned from Javal, expecting to settle into ordinary life, only to discover that even their safest refuge could not protect them from the growing darkness surrounding Rendervire and the Serpent Cult.